When you look at a broadcast tower, it's so easy to just see the steel and wires, this massive structure reaching for the sky. But what you don't see is this whole complex world happening below it and around it. A world where performance, structural integrity, and especially safety are engineered to an incredible degree. So let's explore what it really takes to keep these giants on the air. All right, so this is part 25 of our 40-part series on modern broadcast transmission by Virtualization Options LLC. And today we're really diving deep into chapter 25, which is all about the essential principles of antenna site design and how we manage those powerful, invisible forces that are always at play. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to start from the ground up, literally. We'll begin with the unseen foundation. Then we'll move up to the tower structures themselves. Then we have to talk about taming the invisible dangers of lightning and RF. And finally, we'll look at the human element, safety and maintenance. So what does it actually take to keep a tower standing, safe, and broadcasting? Well, the answer isn't just one thing, that's for sure. It's this carefully balanced combination of structural engineering, super complex electrical design, and really rigorous safety protocols. Let's break down how each of those pieces fits right into the puzzle. Okay, first things first. The most vital part of any broadcast site is the part that's completely hidden from view. I'm talking about the grounding system. It is the unseen hero of the entire operation. So what is it exactly? Well, a grounding system is this huge network of buried copper that's doing two incredibly critical things. First, it's a safety net. It gives lightning and any electrical faults a safe path straight to the earth. And second, it's absolutely essential for the antenna's actual RF performance. So you've got one system doing two absolutely vital jobs. So how do you even know if this unseen foundation is any good? Well, it all comes down to one key number: resistance. The goal is to get the electrical resistance to the earth as low as you possibly can. And the industry benchmark, it's less than 10 ohms. Now, why that number? Because energy, especially a lightning strike, is going to take the path of least resistance. A really low resistance path makes sure all that energy goes harmlessly into the ground and not, through your very expensive equipment. So this grounding system, it's a real workhorse. It's doing at least 4 critical jobs at once. It's your primary lightning protection, it bleeds off any static charge that builds up, it creates a safety ground for all the equipment, and it literally acts as the other half of the antenna system, helping to shape the signal. If you're coming from the IT world, think of this like the mission-critical grounding in a high-availability data center. It is just as vital, maybe even more so. Okay, so we've covered what's under the ground. Let's move on up to the structures actually reaching for the sky, the towers themselves. There are a few main types, and choosing between them involves some really important engineering trade-offs. So you've basically got 2 main flavors here: self-supporting and guide. A self-supporting tower is fantastic for tight spaces because its footprint is tiny, but the initial cost is a lot higher. A guide tower, on the other hand, is way more economical for getting really, really tall, but it needs a huge amount of land for all its anchor points. So a lot of the time, the decision really just comes down to real estate and budget. And then there's the oddball of the group, AM radio. Now, this is a special case because here, the tower is the antenna. This means the entire structure has to be electrically isolated from that super important ground system we just talked about. It sits on these massive insulators. It's a totally fascinating engineering challenge that just adds a whole other layer of complexity. All right, let's shift our focus to the dangers you can't even see. Every single broadcast site has to be engineered from the get-go to handle 2 powerful, invisible forces: the raw, incredible energy of a lightning strike and the pervasive presence of radio frequency fields. Now, lightning protection isn't just one component. It's a whole system. Think of it like a 3-stage plan to tame that energy. First, it starts right at the top with static discharge points. Then it travels down the tower through these heavy-duty conductor cables. And finally, it ends up in that all-important ground system, which safely dissipates all that energy right into the earth. And that other invisible force? That's the RF energy itself. And, the source material really nails it with this quote. It highlights the legal and, frankly, ethical responsibility here. Engineers have to calculate and measure the RF fields, and then, this is the crucial part, they have to restrict access to any area where those fields go over the safety limit.
And here is exactly what that access control looks like in the real world. This big, sturdy, locked fence, it's not just about keeping trespassers out. It is the first and most important line of defense in the entire site's RF safety plan.
So RF safety, it's really all about layers of protection. You've got physical barriers like those fences, you've got clear and obvious warning signs, then you have policies that restrict access to specific high field areas. And of course, mandatory training for any person who has to go inside. It's basically physical access control for a data center, but instead of protecting servers, you're protecting people from RF fields.
All right, last but definitely not least, let's talk about the human element. Because a perfectly engineered site is only as good as the people and the procedures that keep it safe and reliable over decades of operation.
And this is so not a set it and forget it kind of deal. Regular preventative maintenance is completely non-negotiable. We're talking about everything from visual, structural inspections of the tower, to retesting that ground system to make sure it's still below 10 ohms, to checking every single cable and verifying the lightning protection. And of course, any work done up on the tower has to strictly follow OSHA safety regulations. Consistent upkeep is what stops a small issue from becoming a catastrophic failure. And really, this is where it all comes full circle. This systematic, defense-in-depth approach to designing a broadcast site, with its intense focus on grounding, security, and redundancy, it is incredibly similar to the principles you'd use to design a modern, high-reliability data center. The underlying philosophies of keeping things up and running safely are pretty much universal. Which leaves us with a really interesting question for the future. We've just gone over how critical all this physical design and hands-on maintenance truly is. But as remote monitoring technology gets more and more sophisticated, letting us check on equipment and even ground system integrity from hundreds of miles away, how is the engineer's role in ensuring physical site safety going to evolve? It's a fascinating question for where this field is headed.